this playoffs for me is kind of the first time that I've competed seriously on a team outside of C9. So this whole split was kind of just a new experience for me, and it's a way just for me to prove like who I am as a player, because before all of my success was directly tied with Cloud9 because, you know, I was a part of the teams from the beginning. But now it's a new chapter, and I'm just trying to see like how well can I do not on C9.
Question answered. Pretty damn well.
Yeah.
Doing pretty well.
We had Dark Meteos on Phoenix 1, so it was the rise, fall, and now it's the redemption of Meteos as a player to try and come back and be at the top once again.
Actually rising up now this time. So welcome back to Game 4 of Clutch Gaming versus 100 Thieves. The back and forth has continued now to Game 4, and 100 Thieves now with the momentum this time. It seemed to be a little blue side favored, but the blind picks are still coming in to throw each other off guard here. So I don't even know if it kind of matters what side you're on in that sense.
I still feel like having to not ban Swain is very helpful for Clutch Gaming.
Because it's one for both. You're not getting that blue side ban out of anybody. They can both play it.
The Talia is something that they have been insistent on banning out here. Regardless of which side, they just don't want Ryu to have the Talia. They don't want to make, I guess, that mistake at all and have him roam to the side lanes and control.
It is very interesting because while last game was, pretty measured, it was, a longer game. So much of it did still feel like it came down to the early stages where Apollo got originally put behind to me. Those first couple ganks where he forced out summoners and then we were able to repeat gank multiple times, get 2 early kills on him. He fell quite behind Cody-san, and he never really caught back up.
Yeah.
A lot of the fights, even when you look at that one fight that went so poorly for Clutch around Baron, where somebody gets out with no health, comes back in with the Warmogs, regenerating back up to full. Apollo was a full item down on Cody-san. Had that early game not gone so poorly, had he been more comparable in the itemization, that's a kill right there. That's something that could turn things around. And here's a question that was asked on the desk. Yeah. Why are they not going for the Xayah Rakan?
Wondered where that was all series long, if you will.
This will be really interesting, though, if Afram was willing to pick it away. I don't think you should. I am of the opinion that Rakan without Xayah is so much weaker than Xayah without Rakan. I actually would prefer to see 100 Thieves go for a Caitlyn Morgana lane, which answers this very, very well, because if Rakan W's forward aggressively, you can black shield that and actually drop a trap right under his feet, and he's locked into this animation, into a binding, etc., etc. So it's going to be the Jhin. We'll see if Morgana is an answer either way.
Cody-san with that 6-0-7 in their final game against TSM on that Jhin play. We'll see what else is next. As you said, this has been the Olaf 3 games in a row. When we make it 4.
And Caitlyn was actually banned, so I'm trolling. But yeah, Jhin makes a lot of sense here, actually.
April Fools.
Curious to see if it is going to be paired with the Morgana, because I do think that Morgana is a really strong answer.
Now you pick, they said.
That was
2
fast
picks.
Yeah, immediately just trying to put pressure on them and have their picks go right by. They knew they were going to pick Rakan and discussing no matter what's getting picked on the other side.
Yeah, you're a step ahead.
We're locking that in, and the Syndra here into the Orianna is something that they had played previously back in Game 2. Or sorry, back before that, and they had actually played it in Game 1, and they lost, but they still feel like the Syndra will be able to contribute damage. This is looking so far like mid-game composition for Clutch with the power of Hakuho on an engaged champion with lane dominance.
And Tahm Kench can be a very good answer here as well. It does not necessarily deny the engage, but after it happens, you can eat out the Jhin. You can keep him safe with that W. And at the same time, it's also very effective sometimes against Syndra, using that on Scout of the Week to kind of deny the ultimates coming through. But definitely, as you pointed out, Cyrene, a lot of playmaking ability there for the Rakan.
Scary.
And Hakuho, we know that's really one of the biggest reasons that they were able to beat TSM was his playmaking, taking over the game. So he's going to have an opportunity with their backs up against it here in the semifinals to take over a game here.
Yeah, when I go back to the quarterfinal with TSM, they had constantly banned Rakan against Clutch Gaming on both blue and red side. All 4 games, TSM were like, we do not want Hakuho to have this. And even you said it, Azale, where you think Xayah without Rakan is still stronger than Rakan by himself. But TSM were of the opinion that Hakuho's Rakan is just too clean to leave up, even if they were going to pick it without the Xayah. So I really want to see him on this champion here, because apparently he has been causing waves with it in scrims and his on-stage performance.
I mean, I'm already afraid to see those engages scatter into an entrance from him and he can get out safely. Damn. Meteos?
Cho'Gath also banned away. We have to point that out because for the first time we are not going to see Someday on that Cho'Gath. So the Zac for Meteos, and they're leaving Someday's pick for last. So if we did see something, like that Scion again coming through, there is potential for somebody to go for more of an aggressive counter pick. We did see him pick Darius earlier in the season, which was pretty dominant. Maybe that's a little bit of wishful thinking here for me, but it would be interesting to see if somebody has the confidence in the semifinals to go for really an aggressive counter pick, something that can take over the game in a side lane.
Yeah, I really like the Cho'Gath ban here. The Ornn ban from Clutch Gaming, they banned kind of their own champion away, but they're on blue side, so 100 Thieves would have the first pick on that second phase. And now Someday is going to bring out that Shen here. I think one of the last times that Someday had that Shen in the top lane, it was Impact bodying him, and then him realizing, okay, we should probably turn this around. That was the one game they lost out of their last 10.
Yeah, that was that game. Impact's like, I like this no ward thing. I can do my own thing. It will create a lot of pressure. And kind of everybody relearned that situation. Now we are here today.
And we did see this matchup yesterday a fair bit. It is a pretty interesting one. The Shen can definitely have advantages if you are able to actually get that push going, if you're building into Titanic Hydra, and you can trade pretty well with your pull-through on the Spirit Blade, giving you % HP damage as well as that bonus attack speed. But that being said, this is nowhere near as advantageous as the Cho'Gath is in the Scion. I think Scion certainly has the opportunity to also go positive in this matchup, especially if you are playing with Comet. Unlike Cho'Gath, Shen does not have anywhere near that same level of sustain, so the Emax Comet build can actually be quite effective in just poking Shen out, making him vulnerable to dives, or forcing him back to base.
100 Thieves do keep themselves with a bit of global pressure here. The Galio out this game. They slot in a Shen towards the top side. It's not something they super prioritize, but being mobile on the map is something they do love throughout these games. We're going to have that Jhin pretty protected in the game. Cody Sun, I said 6-0-7 in that last game against TSM, but he's up against the Xayah Rakan combo now of Apollo Hakuo. This is going to be a good one for Game 4.
And it is that Comet for solo, so he has made the swap over from the Glacial Augment going to Comet in this Shen matchup can be pretty strong, so excited to see how he's going to be able to do up on the top side now that they've given him a little bit more help in that Scion matchup.
Yeah, the fact that they have that matchup now is good for them, but also the bottom side, Xayah, Rakan, and right now we're seeing picks and bans and first pick priority be all about who can control the bottom lane. The first picks in this entire series have been Caitlyn twice, Xayah, and then Azir once when it was left up and Febvin picked that away. But instantaneously, 100 Thieves are securing their AD carry in their first round every single time as soon as they can to get something that's priority in the bottom side of the map here and something that has an advantageous matchup. So now Clutch Gaming, with that Lovers duo, this is one that's just considered to shove in, deals a lot of damage, even in the late game, and it's very, very potent with Engage alongside.
It's pretty interesting to see Aphromoo actually making the choice to go for refillable as his starting item. So that to me is almost saying, hey, I'm actually not that worried about your early laning phase because you are going to get less regen, than the 3 pots start, obviously. But it starts to pay off more and more if you're not actually getting pushed out and punished for it. So that'll be interesting to track if Hakuo and Apollo can get anything done.
He also went Guardian here too, and we've just been seeing Unsealed Spellbook constantly on supports to swap it out for things like TP, and it just looks like he's going for more in the resolve for protection in the lane phase, because I think he's just saying, we're going to lose this lane.
So one of the reasons I think Guardian is actually so strong in certain matchups, and it is matchup dependent, is when you're looking at something like a Syndra plus a Rakan, it's all about the burst, and this is almost like a second Locket, as we are seeing a Clutch invade here and actually steal away Meteos' blue, unbeknownst to him, but Guardian definitely can be very effective in keeping your AD carry alive versus the Syndra Unleashed Power and these sorts of all-in combos, especially if you can get a Locket on top of a Knight's Vow, on top of Guardian. It starts to really feel hard to actually ever burst through, so I think it's a cool adaptation.
Yeah, and if you're trying to just protect Cody's son and deal damage in the late game, yeah, keeping him alive is everything that you want here. And Meteos, you saw that stat on the side, 17-3 all-time NALCS record on Zac.
Insane.
It is really insane. It's that signature pick for him, but we'll see how he does in this game because he just got counter jungled level 1.
Yep. But I mean, especially when you consider over how many years, right? It's not like, oh, he's just playing it when it's OP. He's played it through so many metas, so many patches.
It's a different champion, too.
Exactly. He's always effective on it, and you love to see those signature picks working.
Says he wants to get away from that Cloud9 name, but then he goes ahead and picks Zac. Mixed messaging. We can see what the King of the Jungle can do, as he was used to be called on that champion, as he can now recuperate from a camp down. Lyra keeping himself low and quickly farming through the jungle. Corrupting Potion here for that Scion top, and that damage from Someday. Woo, looking good, but he says lane advantage, thank you.
Yeah, those early levels can be pretty scary if you get caught in a taunt, but as you see, Someday is getting poked pretty low. He's used his pot as well. As those E's come out and continually poke you down, can get a little bit dicey. Also worth pointing out Lyra's jungle pathing. So he steals away the blue, then goes over to his blue side quadrant, because that is generally where Meteos would then try to make up the ground. He would go over there and say, okay, well, I'll steal your blue back. So instead, he leaves his red for last, guarantees he gets that 3 buff, and I think it's a smart start.
It's also the classic leave Solo on an island, the strategy that they have patented on the side of Clutch Gaming. They don't really give Solo pretty much any help at all, and they don't really go towards his lane, ward for him or anything. He's just left on that island. And up against Someday, it's going to be really rough because normally when you have a global like the Shen, you want to go to the Shen lane to shut that down.
Bring it to him.
Now you're going to have some fights and try to outpace double globals on the side of 100 Thieves.
And we know how good the gank assist is for Shen, and you can see Meteos already up here, level 3. His camps are stolen, so he's looking to make a play around that. It's a good lane ward, though, from Solo. Very intelligent, and that should keep him safe. And this guy really does deserve a lot of credit, honestly, for how well he plays without help, because it can be very difficult playing top lane when there are other junglers there and you never feel like you get that help. You have to minimize risk, and he's trying to waste Meteos' time by moving forward just enough while not exposing himself.
Yeah, usually top lane is a jungle difference, and
Meteos knows now.
He gets to finally figure it out there on the top side, but that gives Lyra time to do whatever he wants. And still going to deal damage to Aphromoo, though, and the feather pull through after could be big.
Yeah, definitely watching out. Aphromoo is like, where do you want to be spit? Not that way. Let's go towards the wall. We're safe to the turret. And Lyra now on a quick dragon for himself, where we saw Meteos and crew the other game.
Yeah, Meteos showed top side, but this has been spotted out, and it is dangerous to do this. As Harim pointed out, you get so low. Looks like they're just going to try to finish it, but, I mean, 100 Thieves is closing in.
He's got flash.
Yeah, he's got flash out.
I love how you hold it like, maybe I won't flash. Maybe this is going to be okay.
Waste their time more.
It's true. No, it is true.
Way.
You disrupt a few things there, but they get out safely with the flash being used and Drake going over to Clutch Gaming.
And it may not be that 3-minute dragon, but still, a 5-minute ocean dragon is still incredibly good, and it is going to help them out a lot with their laning phase. Especially, on the top side and mid lane as well, having that higher mana is going to be really, really nice for Solo. You can see he's already starting to run out of mana, and as you start to build in the Catalyst and the Glacial Augment, they're actually looking to go for a dive. Your Predator popped. Somebody's already low.
They're helping.
Oh, the first 200 HP from Reckless. Swing coming through. Tries to mitigate a bit of that damage with Spirit's Refuge, but first blood to Lyra.
You can't predict that. They've never done this before. There's no counterplay.
In the history of Clutch.
Never in the history of Dota.
But they end up getting that first blood onto Lyra. But down bottom, they're still actually fighting here too and kind of winning it. But hold on.
Little love tap though from the Clutch duo. Looks like they get out safely on the side. Aphromoo using that Devour, always making sure he has it up for the initiation and entrance. As we see this one more time, through and through, they knew they were getting the kill, so they just went in and out.
Yeah, one of the weaknesses of Shen is his wave clearance, so he gets shoved in here by Solo, and then Meteos is up on the top side, or sorry, Lyra is up on the top side with Predator, and Meteos is on the bottom side, and so they're able to actually pick that up with the flash from Solo, though.
And a well-executed dive, honestly. It's pretty easy for ones like that to go wrong when a couple turret shots is your full health bar before you have back. So Solo did a good job really kind of buying time. I wonder if Someday would have been able to get a trade kill if he used his flash and tried to actually taunt Solo instead, who the turret was on.
Agreed.
Really
but those sorts of things are kind of hard to decide in the moment, and it's risky, because if you blow your flash and you still die and don't get anything back, that's tough. But might have been the play to go for.
He's definitely dying, because Solo comes back after that. You're still in a 2v1.
Yeah, it was kind of risky for him to do, maybe even taunting the Scion, but I didn't think he saw exactly where turret aggro went at the start. Because if you taunt the Scion, he's going to have to flash out earlier, interrupt his Q, so you don't take that damage and such. So,
as we said, can't be outplayed. Never saw before.
Yeah, he wasn't ready.
No counterplay to that.
Impossible, if you will. Make it up. 11.7 to 10.8 here, so just a bit of a lead gained off of that. Some taunt aggression towards the top side as we're going to get a reset on the bottom. Nice ward, though, just to make sure there's no Lyra lurking around. It actually catches the bot lane backing. Tier being stacked up in mid as Febvin is rushing his cooldown and trying to get to his first item.
Yeah, it looked like Febvin, last time he played the Syndra, though, he actually went tier first item.
Yeah.
Now he's got the Lost Chapter, so potentially actually just switching up the build here to the Luden's Echo for wave clear and burst damage as opposed to having the shield and the extra mana.
Well, I do think the Luden's is very powerful, offensively. It just feels like everyone just prioritizes Seraphs because the defense is just too good, right? It essentially is giving you a second defensive summoner while not being that much weaker offensively, and that's why basically everyone just builds it. And it will be interesting to see where Febvin goes, because sometimes even if you want to go for the Seraphs, it's justifiable to get a Lost Chapter first because it increases your laning power.
Yeah, and I've talked to some mid laners about this as well, between the Archangels, the Seraphs, and the Ludens. And it was funny because it's like, well, the Archangels just gives you more mana, and if you're getting Ludens for wave clear anyway, and your champion could throw out enough wave clear in the first place, it's just way better to get the Archangels because you're going to have more of it, which means more wave clear over time. And so, sure, it's not a burst of wave clear, but if the other guy doesn't have it and you do, you're going to be able to just out-wave clear him in a longer...
Back to the scene of the crime.
Whoa, taunt already used. Initial hit. That's turret aggro gained at max range, which means that is Lyra getting in right away to get the kill once again, but it actually goes over to Solo that time.
And we talked in Champion Select in every single game how it's coming down to the bottom lane. It looks like that's what the draft revolves around
Switch
here.
it up.
Now they're going towards the global. They're going towards the Shen here. The change of the game plan here to pick on Someday and get Solo ahead.
And that's actually a really big kill, because look at this wave that is at his turret. When you die under your turret without TP, it's often that second kill that is so much more impactful as that top laner, because you are just feeling terrible making the long walk back, knowing not only are you going to lose every one of those minions, but the wave is going to stack and push away from you. So you are even more vulnerable again. You're going to have no flash.
Just about to crest 1,000 gold deficit there for Someday as he's taking that long walk back to lane, and it's already at a spot where Solo can give him a lot of trouble.
And like you said, Azael, puts him in a worse spot because now it's on his side of the map. His minions will reinforce and deal damage sooner, and then they'll push out. And right now, this is the worst part to be in as a top laner, and also as the jungler for the top laner, because now you have to make the decision, do I camp the losing lane to get him back to even? And even then, you don't get him exactly back to even off one play, and the bottom side could be exploited then. So now you have to watch where both these junglers go in response.
Because even if you camp there, if their jungler is there, you're expecting to lose the 2v2. And if you lose the 2v2, the game could just be done. So it is definitely a tough decision, and it's one that Meteos is going to be faced with.
And if you go elsewhere, it's like, he could show up with TP. And so now the top laner has influence over the entire map, and you have just Stand United now for Someday. His TP will be up in a second. But I think this opens up Lyra to not just go back to top, but to go to other lanes now, especially with the Dragon coming up.
It's also pretty interesting because when you get put behind in a build like this, often it's actually pushing Shen off of rushing a Tiamat. And having that early Tiamat for wave clear really does help a lot against Sion, especially if Sion is doing a banner rush like this, because you need to be able to contest the wave early and often to actually prevent a lot of that banner damage. And now going to be on the back foot, we'll have to be building more defensively, may not have the option.
It's kind of a slippery slope too, because Sion, we saw he out-wave clears the Shen, and then all of a sudden, whoa, hold on though, Meteos.
Uh-oh, Mike gets separated on this one. Not feeling too good. No more roams were coming in. It was actually going to be Aframu and Cody-san making that trek first, so he would have been good to actually keep the engage going.
But you always have to watch out for the Stand United, right? It's faster than the TP.
Yeah.
So Solo is just chasing Someday down the river, like, hey, come back here, make sure he can't actually leave. And now Lyra's on the bottom side, doesn't have the Predator.
Maybe?
It was just a prank.
Yeah, it was absolutely a prank. No Undertow came out. They were just doing a few taps.
You got a block for Hakuo.
Hakuo now is trying to dodge in, back, left, right. Throws down the charm, but he cannot be quick enough to get out of that one. Hakuo goes down and a kill to 100 Thieves.
That was some really poor communication from Clutch Gaming. You could see it was actually Lyra running out as Hakuo goes forward, and then no one blocking for Hakuo. I don't know if they were assuming a roam was going to come in, or they're worried about Stand United perhaps, that thinking we can't take this fight. But either way, Hakuo gives up an easy kill.
And now that might be the Drake on the bottom side, which it looked like Clutch were going to be able to secure with the advantage they have. But now 100 Thieves, that's going to go over to them.
Yeah, Lyra's going to have to put himself in too tough a spot to get that. Nicely done for 100 Thieves to turn the game on its head just a little bit. Still behind with that advantage in the mid lane to Clutch Gaming, but Cody-san gets going on the Jhin now.
Yeah, we talked about the lack of Tiamat top lane. It's a slippery slope. Now that you don't have wave clear to contest the Scion. The Scion gets to roam before you, and then you don't also get to have the waves. But watch this for Hakuho. The battle dance, the first one is interrupted because you would be able to have 2. The first one he goes back, actually gets rooted there. So he would be able to go to Apollo, then Lyra, and get out. But because the first one's interrupted, he doesn't have 2 left.
And this one looks pretty funny because Lyra and Apollo, you're thinking, okay, well, can't you block for it? But I guess they are just respecting the stand united and too worried about the Shen coming in, because if they turn and commit to that fight to try to save Hakuho, Shen comes through, maybe you all die. So
it's even worse.
They're just accepting, all right, you messed up, that's that, we give up 1 kill.
Back out of base, lots of pink wards here to be placed. We'll see if they have the ability to be defended as well.
Look at where
Harold going to be taken by Clutch Gaming.
Look where Sumday's standing. It's the opposite of proxying from the previous games. He is actually just ignoring and giving up CS
getting
here.
experience.
Because he doesn't have
the cannon.
I know, right?
Get it.
Wait, he'll go for it. He'll go for the cannon, right? Yeah.
You could do it someday.
There you go.
He saw him, he knows he left. He's like, I think I get some breathing room for a second. I'm going to go ahead and take this.
I don't even know how many cannons I've died for top lane.
Oh.
That's like the one, it's like, yeah, I'll give up the summoner, I'll give up.
It's
worth it.
Oh, no. Will they die for this, though? A little bit of pressure from Alframu. Great health himself, his safety with 200 HP there as Cody-san stepping forward for shot number 4. Doesn't get it to go off. A lot of action around the map. We see stuff happening topside. If Sumday's kind of stuck up for the teleport, then they'll go engage in the bot side.
Yeah, but that's still, like, we talked about how this bottom lane is a pushing lane for Clutch, and Hakuho just keeps going in for these aggressive trades. Aphromoo is eating a lot of those trades, and like we said, he has the refillable potion, so over time, it's going to pay off here, but he's definitely taking a decent amount of damage in these trades.
And you do save a lot of gold, because it can be surprising sometimes when people, every time they go back to base, they buy up another potion or 2. That can really start to add up over the course of a game. And you know, one of the nicest things about refillable is it's a 150 gold investment. You're non-stop getting the potions, but you can actually even sell it then when you need the item slot, and it only ends up costing you the total of about 80 gold.
We see that being utilized quite a bit actually throughout the inventories of 100 Thieves, and saving that gold, maybe a few more vision wards to go around the map.
It pays for itself after the second back and full usage of it, so it's very effective. And right here, Banner of Command, it's going to start taking this turret. There's no Meteos on this top side. Someday, Solo gets solo gold on the top side, and now the tables have turned.
Yeah, shoes on the other foot. I mean, he had been having to accept this time and time again in the earlier games against that Shogath, and now he is the one, you know, partially due to those ganks up on the top side, but also partially due to the matchup, and they're going in.
Bit of a fight, just short on the coattails of Afromoo's Tom Kench. They want to get back in to make the lick stick, and I do not think it's going to count.
Well, Meteos is here.
On the outside, the slingshot to be reeled back, fires over the wall. Apollo with the Feather Storm, and the miss by Meteos as he throws it just over the left shoulder of Apollo. Mid lane Rift Herald as Clutch Gaming is trying to turn this one up.
Exactly, because they had multiple people down bottom. Because they outplayed with less numbers. What?
Oh, they're so low.
Ball goes over, nice shield, Sabled out, and he is going to be blobbed. A good hit as Ryu tries to get himself to safety to deliver more hits. Devour from Afromoo as they keep denying these kills. But will they solidify one? Cody, some flashes. They're going to get everyone. Scatter. Afromoo's now forced to flash. They are using everything, but the kitchen sink is being thrown at them. Lyra gets that kill as he smites it down. And Clutch Gaming come up huge.
They burst down Meteos through the Someday ultimate. He goes down. The Rift Herald is going to net them 2 turrets and a huge advantage here in game number 4.
They tried to make a play on the bottom side on 100 Thieves, and then it was countered by both Apollo and Hakuho. And then they try to actually go mid to counter the numbers advantage from Clutch. And Clutch just come up huge. They outplay here multiple times. They come through that location. Fevivin is right on top of that with the stun, the follow-up there, and then they're able to kill him right before he gets out. And Ryu's path is just awful from that point because he's sectioned off. He can't go to the right because Hakuho is coming through. He can't go to left because everybody else is there.
Yeah, and since they're so low, Someday does not feel like he can actually commit the teleport because he doesn't think that's really going to save anyone. And
crazy.
Full commitment, just chasing down Afromoo. Going to be able to get another kill with the smite there is Lyra. And that's such a massive play off of the Rift Herald.
That's a 6,000 gold advantage for Clutch. And so far, these early games have been really kind of silent. But this gives them a large key tool to use as they hit the mid game with Apollo and Hakuho being very far ahead.
And I think there's windows all over the place right now with this many summoners being down. Clutch Gaming could get themselves in a pretty scary spot if Ryu and everybody are able to hit those ults, keep these fights going. So there may be a bit of a calm before another storm here. 5-1, 17.5 minutes in, but that's a 6,000 gold jump for Clutch Gaming.
And if you want to push the pace here as Clutch, look at all the engage that they have. The Olaf flying in, Scion ultimate. You have the Xayah Rakan duo, which is incredibly powerful engage and follow-up there as well. So definitely the ability to really push the pace now, being this far ahead pre-20 minutes is a pretty tough lead to come back from.
That's one of the things is Hakuho's Rakan is just fantastic, but they're going to pick it up there. It goes to his Rakan.
Woo, even better.
Okay.
All the more engage coming forward.
Intentional, completely intentional.
Exactly, 100% intentional. But I think somebody that, even though like this bottom side of the map was doing well in CS and outplaying, the top side of the map for Clutch Gaming is where the focus is right now. Solo with 100% kill participation. He has been smashing this lane because of the matchup. They banned the Cho'Gath. They pushed Someday down the champion list, and he counters the Scion with the Shen. The ganks went through from Lyra. They camped that lane, and now Solo's in a position with that banner where he just has inevitable pressure on a lot of these turrets, even netting them their first one of the game.
That was big to be identified there in Champion Select. We said maybe it was this or that. They were able to get by at the one game, but still they said it was too tough to actually play for. Now we see Solo getting that advantage from Lyra and just running away with it. 4 turrets as well to Clutch Gaming. That means 100 Thieves has a lot of money on the map to be taken down. They just haven't been able to get to it yet.
And the question for Clutch just becomes, can you continue to build upon this lead? You are very far ahead pre-20 minutes. How do they extend that? Can they knock down the remaining outer turrets? Can they actually get to the Baron and either A, force a team fight, or B, rush it down? Because that's what you need to do from the position. You know, you pointed out in draft, Irene, that this is more of a mid-game focused team. It is perhaps a bit lower on DPS to kill this front line in the super late game. So you need to push the pace. You need to be able to capitalize on the lead you've built.
The Xayah still has a little bit of insurance behind it, but yeah, they spike in that mid game, and they don't have to worry about a Cho'Gath anymore when they do objective. That, I think, is a huge weight off their shoulders.
Looking for a pick, though. If they get Hakuho and he's a little too far out, they delete him immediately. That goes to 3 members of 100 Thieves, and they start to make a little work of what's been very tough here in the first 20 minutes of the game.
Oh, pretty far up there without his support. A little bit risky, but you see Solo again pushing on the bottom side of the map, does have the banner available, and they're looking to use that to just build pressure on this side and try to draw multiple men down to the bottom lane.
Gotta figure out where that teleport can come from and see if you can stop it. If Solo's always in the face of Someday, they may have a big upper hand in these fights to stop that Stand United. Looks like Cody's son, he gets himself pretty safe here with the wall of Aframu halfway down the river, as well as Meteos. They take control over top side of the map vision, but it is cleared out ever so slowly here by Clutch Gaming. A lot of respect being given to Lyra here as he's kind of running solo, but 100 Thieves hasn't been on Clutch Gaming's side of the map in quite a while. They don't know where Clutch is coming from. They don't have the vision past the river.
Yeah, a lot of that is those turrets being down, especially the mid-tier 2, allows rotations to come from Clutch Gaming by pushing the mid-wave and then going into the jungle and dipping into Fog of War. But now it should be playing around the top and mid-side for Clutch because the Baron's up and there's no Drake on the table. And they could do the Baron pretty quickly once they hit 2 item spikes on some of these guys here.
I really like that ward, though, that the 100 Thieves has by the Baron Pit. That is a really sneaky one that often does not get caught because people are very often only having 2 pinks to set up. They have 1 inside the pit, 1 in the pixel brush. You actually need a 3rd outside the pit right there to be able to actually catch that one. So it's one that very often is not spotted and won't tell you what the Baron HP is at, but it will tell you if they're starting.
Yeah, and the one, like, having a control ward in the pit is a necessity, though, because the enemy is going to ward over for the steal. So if you place a ward to see that one, you can't see the ones that would come through when you're actually doing the Baron.
And that's why to get the perfect setup, you need that 2 to 3 pink ward setup, even more sometimes, to fully cancel out any vision wards and also any potential TP flank wards like we see over by kind of the blue buff.
Don't hit the wards.
Oh, Meteos looking for it.
That
by himself,
4v1 situation as Solo's pushing off Ryu. I don't think they knew 2 fights were going to happen on either side of the lane. That's going to be Meteos going down 100.
They're going to go to Baron.
Watch. That is absolutely going to the Baron. There's no 50-50 to be had.
This is going to be tough. I mean, 100 Thieves is already way behind. I'm not sure you can actually afford to give up a Baron at this early in the game when you're already this far down, so they are moving over.
Yeah, Clutch, though, they usually bait these. Hakuho, you see him on the side. He's swept. They know they don't see him. He's going to go for maybe a play here onto the
stop.
He shows
Cody's son. Cody's son's actually going to stop the curtain call short. Devoured up to get a save onto Ryu, and now they got a flash to safety. Clutch Gaming on pursuit. And it looks like Hakuho gets knocked back, the only one by that shockwave. Not a big follow-up damage from 100 Thieves as they continue to run for the hills.
But once again, Clutch, they don't do the Baron, they bait for it. They do this every single time. They're actually putting you in a situation where it's like, go ahead, fight us. The engage doesn't stick there because of the outplays, but 100 Thieves, they get away with pretty much the minimum loss there.
Yeah, definitely nice job by 100 Thieves to kind of minimize the situation, but at the same time, they are down quite a few summoners, so we'll see if Clutch can actually engage again and try to force that out, because that is no summoners on your mid laner, no flash on Cody Sun as well, so definitely a potential to pull something off.
And Hakuo has his flash, and he's the primary engage here for that snappy engage to come through from Clutch. So you're expecting him to jump onto Cody Sun and Ryu in these next fights. You expect one to happen very shortly after that.
Does that damage? Feels a little bit better for Someday. Slowly pushing out the bot lane, seeing where the next hit could actually be. Like you said, guy said, focusing top. Apollo's going to keep himself farming up nice and fast until they can get to that second tier. Not enough vision in that portion of the jungle, though, for him to get just past the river. So they detract from that. Looks like they'll head to Febivin in the mid lane. Slowing things down, but this is also a possibility to give 100 Thieves an idea of how to get back in. Those simple catches onto Hakuo possibly, or somebody behind that Baron pit.
I mean, Hakuo was the only person who's died in this game for Clutch Gaming.
Right.
He's been the one warding, trying to look for plays, and he died off of miscommunication and being out of position. And those are the two so far, the two blunders for him, and for all of Clutch so far.
The Rabadon's looking for Ryu, coming out fast after that Seraph's Embrace. He just wants to get the impact damage down right away in these fights.
And always the other thing you have to look at with Orianna is the utility. Deathcap really buffs out the power of your shield, so makes it even stronger than it would on a pure damage dealer.
Vision Wars going down. I think the next fight we might have will be over a ward and just trying to gain a little bit of coverage of your own jungle. Clutch Gaming taking over very nicely here. Still all turrets standing on the map, which makes it hard for 100 Thieves to follow a fight. There's such an easy retreat for Clutch Gaming here if they do just need to step back a little bit.
Definitely the case, but the more time you give 100 Thieves, the gold lead is closing. They were up 6K, they're now up 5K, and the further you get into the game, the less that advantage means. So they're gonna have to force it, and they are on the Baron now. Febivin and Hakuo are zoning, and this is just a three-man play, so it's going down pretty slow.
Super slingshot. No, he gets caught.
But that's
charmed up.
Used already.
Nicely
Meteos will be able to jump in.
He's in.
He does. The charm wears off. If Meteos can get this, it's going to be huge. No, smite away from Lyra. Very stressful play for him, but he comes out on top. Febivin is able to take down Meteos. No bloblets there. Ooh. The flash forward. Lyra says we're not done yet. And it looks like they're going to go for the mid lane now. Full control over the map after Baron.
And Someday didn't even use Stand United to join that fight. He decides to stay on the bottom side. He gets a turret, but continuing to push, Clutch is just going to shove up mid lane and look to get some real damage done.
So Someday didn't have TP or have the Stand United, or at least didn't have the Stand United for that last few seconds there. Came up right after the Baron went down. So it was a good play from Clutch to force it then, because normally they're patient. Normally they try to bait it, but that time they actually went for the 50-50.
Not seem like Clutch likes to lose. Their games got faster as that happened after the one loss to TSM. And they are looking to make very fast moves here as they make their way on that mid inhib. 26 minutes in, Baron's still up to work other lanes. That happened so quick, they can really just utilize it as they just got it almost.
And definitely, you know, having the confidence in Lyra to secure that smite, you know, the reckless swing plus your smite combo is pretty powerful, and he is a level up. But, you know, as you called out, Cyrene, all the CC was used on Meteos before he used his elastic slingshot. So he gets into the pit. Here is the smite coming down. Looks like an early. Oh no, it's actually something. He got crit or something. The smite is used. Looks like basically at the same time.
Yeah, I believe the shot from Jin going through the Baron might have also chunked it very low, but
yeah.
Someday also TPs cancels it, but then it's like it's already over at that point.
Now Clutch, they already knocked out the inhibitor before they even went back to base. So they are going to be able to look to continue this push. And as you point out, that's the third Ocean Drake. That means it's a never-ending push. Even if you trade poke, you step back for a little bit, you will regen right back up, and they're looking for the pick.
And Clutch Gaming says, come on in, the water's feeling fine. Meteos takes the first bit of damage. Someday on the back line, as he was the front. He goes down first. They all turn around as you can see them trying to head for safety. But it's one after the other. Crowd control city. but the defense is pretty good there from 100 Thieves. They'll lose a lot of base and have to defend now inside.
And this is just going to be another inhibitor gone. There's no way to defend this, and they can just continue the push potentially and look to end the game.
Once again, almost deja vu from our previous game of when they were coming in. That quick Baron, that quick hit, and then they don't stop. They're right back in your face, trying to take you down, and I'm sure they'll keep the fight going just like last time.
Yeah, they have no way to kill this Baron Banner Cannon minion here. It's just going to have to just shoot at the base, and right now they're trying to end it and take us to Game 5.
100 Thieves coming out strong. It went game for game. 100 Thieves got the second one, but now we're going to Game 5. It's 2-2 as we're all evened up.
Clutch just refuses to die. Everyone predicting them to lose in the quarters, predicting them to lose in the semis. We were going to Game 5. Clutch is the 6th seed, and they are one game away from going to the finals. And 100 Thieves still at match point as well are going to really have to collect themselves and make sure that they are on point for game number 5.
And
absolutely incredible.
Clutch Gaming threw them the curveball there because they went after the lane that Solo is in twice with Lyra, and they had the winning bottom lane on the side of Apollo and Hakuho. The Xayah Rakan combo gave them so much pressure bottom that they could go focus top lane and get Solo ahead of Someday, and that made a huge difference, and it broke the map wide open. And Lyra in particular played out of his mind.
And these guys are completely taking control of that kind of essence of excitement that, oh my God, we're doing this. We heard it in the TSM comp.
They didn't believe it.
We don't believe it. Yeah, well, they're believing it, and they're making
now.
Great use of it. Let's send it over to Dash, Mark, and Jat to get their thoughts on how Clutch brought this series to Game 5.
Thank you very much, Riv. That's right. We're going to Game 5, and we got Clutch Gaming to thank for that here in Game 4, picking up a very solid victory over 100 Thieves. In all honesty, kind of smashing through that mid-game this time around and pushing through to the close.
Pick Xayah Rakan for the first time. You're really just going to hammer that bottom. No, gank top.
Gank
the
top.
Scion
The Scion.
against the Shen.
Uh-huh.
Over and over.
When it's Solo, who you have like one of the lowest jungle proximities for. So
We had the stat at the beginning of the day that Solo was the guy who dies the most to first blood in the top lane, but this
And it's
time
still
around,
true.
they're flipping it on its head.
Yeah, but interestingly, Someday was losing this matchup pretty hard, so he's underneath his turret. They don't even play this as well. The E misses, he charges his Q maybe a little too long, so that misses, and Lyra's the one who actually does all the damage there, and it just shows how powerful Olaf is in the early game. Big takeaway from Meteos, because that's kind of the backbone for why 100 Thieves were winning the early games. Now the shoe's on the other foot, and they are punishing Someday.
Yeah, and once they did this gank, where basically Someday's not even in the minion wave, they're fully diving him in the turret, Someday could no longer even step up to his turret. And you saw him actually sitting behind it for a while,
Right.
almost letting his cannon die. That lost so much of the early game pressure, and Clutch actually got an early game lead where they're able to come back better later.
All right, so then on the flip side, right, you got the bottom lane kind of going toe-to-toe, even to some degree. It's not until we end up in the mid lane. A 3-0 in favor of Clutch Gaming is really what kind of, I mean, as if the game wasn't already in their hands, this is what blows it wide open.
Hakuho and Apollo play this so well, and it's why that mid lane play will work moments later. Apollo just dodges every single skill shot until Hakuho gets the interrupt. Apollo dodges the Meteos
Dodge
engage.
everything.
And meanwhile, Hakuho's wrapping around the other side because they didn't know who to focus down. That burns Meteos' time and Cody Sun's ultimate. So this mid play that's happening at the same time where they're forcing down with Rift Herald, they are able to punish people right away. Meteos already been chunked out a little bit from that bot lane thing. Great double stun by
Weird
Featherfin.
pathing by Ryu.
Yeah, horrible pathing.
Yeah, the thing is as well, if Ryu goes back into the river, there's going to be a Xayah Rakan coming up the river too. So he was in a bad place at a bad time, and they were just, it became a full disaster for 100 Thieves. But you have to credit Clutch here for pushing lanes, having the Rift Herald, and making something happen. This was not the game where Clutch waited around until 24 minutes to see if Baron fell their way.
Right, it was 15 minutes in where you see that massive spike in
Yeah.
gold lead. I mean, because if you track it, the actual lead at the end of the game was 11K, and they made half of that happen in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's a pretty big play, as well as the fact that you saw the gold graph in their favor before that, which is something that they have been struggling with a lot. We've seen 15 minutes and onward plays work out well for Clutch, but when you have that combined with the extra pressure, it means when those plays work out, you get so much more gold, because all of a sudden you have a Rift Herald pushing in the mid lane, as opposed to just, we killed a couple of them.
All right, so here's the thing. We're evened up. We're 2-2. We're going on to Game 5, and that's all I want to talk about now. Clutch Gaming on your screens right there. They got to put one more victory together in order to be be the 6th seed heading into the finals to, to contest Team Liquid. On the flip side, you got 100 Thieves. Once TSM was knocked out, most people pointed to them. They said they're the clear favorites here. I was one of those people. Now it's starting to look a lot closer than that. What's the answer for each of these teams?
It's going to be tricky because this has been a back-and-forth series where Blue Side has dominated.
Yes, every single game.
Having priority pick on bottom lane has mattered a lot. So whether that pick is Caitlyn or whether that pick is Xayah, I think is huge. And I wonder if Clutch Gaming targets that so there's no power pick and AD carry on the front side. And then also, we saw some days Cho'Gath get banned.
Yes.
Even though it wasn't to prevent a sweep, it did really prevent his effectiveness up in that top lane. His champion pool got hit pretty hard in the second phase of ban. So I think 100 Thieves needs to make sure some days on something that can withstand pressure.
And for Clutch Gaming, I just can't believe how much of a turnaround this is. They're basically the people destroying the script over and over again, as well as the fact that we keep talking about their weak early game. They're kind of passive, but not to draw direct comparisons, but there are a number of teams over League's history who, if you look at them, they're not particularly impressive in the first 15 minutes of the game, but then they are by far their best team in the region.
Give me a couple names.
So SKT, Samsung Blue, these are teams that did not have
different scale, but different the tracks.
Yeah, right. It's just you don't need to win the first 15 minutes of the game if you're going to become beasts afterwards. And for the most part, I would say Clutch Gaming have had the better post 15 minutes, and when they win the first 15 minutes there too, you see how dominant they are.
So much more dominant. But the fact of the matter is, they're going back to red side, yet to win in this series. We saw them pick up the Xayah Rakan this time around. Probably won't have that option if 100 Thieves chooses to block it, while we talk about bot lane being such a priority in this champ select for these squads. So for Clutch, where can they shore up those weaknesses? Make sure they have a strong bottom side of the map and put Apollo in a position where he can late game carry, not on that Ashe, which we've seen him struggle on throughout this series itself.
Yeah, I actually think Ezreal would be a good pick if there's a lot of AD carry bans, because where I see this series trending is Game 5 is a ton of pressure.
Yes.
So many of these games have come down to in-the-moment team fighting and being able to outplay the opponent.
Yes.
And I think 100 Thieves has played best when they actually have a lot of disengage. So when they can prevent the other team from fighting them, Clutch Gaming is the same way. So even though we're in this meta of piling in 5 engaged champions on both sides.
Fast games, lots of action.
I think this one will be more important about who can prevent the other team from getting the fights they want.
Okay.
That'll control the objectives and ultimately the pace of this game.
Yeah, we're talking about how similar these teams are stylistically. We just thought 100 Thieves was better individually, but it turns out that, for the most part, Clutch Gaming is going toe-to-toe with them. And so you give Apollo a little bit better of a mobile champion. You get a strong early game jungler, so Medius isn't the one leading the game. And then, someday doesn't feel as powerful without that Cho'Gath pick.
All right, well, there you have it. 100 Thieves will return to blue side. We're locked up 2-2. A trip to the finals has come down to Game 5. Meet us back here after the break to see if 100 Thieves or Clutch Gaming will be fighting for their first NALCS final.
You're actually looking to go for a dive. Your Predator popped. Somebody's already low.
They're helping.
Oh, the first 200 HP from Reckless. Swing coming through. Devour from Afromu as they keep denying these kills. But will they solidify one? Cody, some blasters. They're going to get everyone. Scatter. Febvin is able to take down Meteos. No Bloblets there.
Ooh.
The blast forward.
Gotta go. Fine. Take your time. I have ulti. I'm gonna go in. Yeah, I'm gonna get Ori maybe. Take your time.
100 Thieves coming out strong. It went game for game. 100 Thieves got the second one, but now we're going to Game 5. It's 2-2.